Recording in progress.
General Fund Overview, year 25-26, to begin our first of its kind, many backs and forth budget hearing meeting. We have the Deputy Director Mehdi Beydoun, we have our Chief of Staff Mariana Hernandez, and our comptroller is currently not here with us. But we do have our fire department here with us, we do have the pension board here with us, and our first topic that we are going to be discussing. I thought maybe it'd be here. Yep. Okay. We are doing. All right. Opening remarks, Mayor's Office, Pension, Fire, Communication, Newsletter letters, City Council, Corporation Council, and Comptroller's Office. So I'm gonna, Mehdi, if you can take the floor.
Okay.
And let's go to some opening remarks. Council members, I say take some notes. I don't have an outstanding budget here. Did you give me a cover letter? Huh? Okay. Well, I'm trying to say, I'm gonna make a switch. We'll do that at the end. We're gonna open up to City of Dearborn Heights, budget overview here.
Okay.
I will say at 6 o'clock, we are gonna take a quick pause. We are going to get on Zoom, for the Joey Smith, bike, initiative. We're gonna get on here. I believe Margaret King is going to be on Zoom. We'll ask, them to open up the screen so that's, it's a lot bigger there, and then they're also gonna FaceTime us as well, so that we can be on there with Katie Smith and her family, and also Margaret King will have that on. So Mehdi, you have the floor, please begin.
Thank you, Council, for having me here today. We are gonna start by, I pull my mouth a lot closer than I thought I could. We are gonna start by doing a, overview of the general fund, with an overview of the revenues, as well as each department, just a quick overview to show where the expenses and revenues are. So we're gonna start with the general fund revenues. We are expected in the fiscal year for 25-26 to have revenues of $62,042,253. And those are the categories to your right that are broken up. Okay. So you start off with the property taxes, which are $36,689,000.
Before
Yes.
you move on to that, I'm sorry, can you tell us how much we brought in for revenue on sales tax last year? On our property tax last year?
Give me one moment.
I'd like to compare almost every single one of those, so we have realistic expectations.
Yes. So just to give you a heads up, these items are actually added together, and I haven't had the 2024-2025 combination for these items. However, at the end, we're gonna show the estimated revenues and expenses for the entire general fund. However, I can get you this information by next meeting for the comparison. So we start off with the property tax revenue of the expected fiscal year for 25-26.
Can you tell me what we estimated last year? There was also a presentation like this last year.
There's 2 years, my presentation was 2 years ago for this, not for last year. Last year, I'm not sure if they used my specific presentation.
Okay, thank you.
I can get that information to you. I'll actually email it to you by tomorrow to all city council members. So we start off with the category for property taxes. We have $36,689,381. State shared revenue, $8,309,847. Our reimbursements are expected to be around $5,778,900. Other revenues are at $2,779,875. Our licenses and permits, which are building department licenses and permits, are $2,414,250. Our expected district court revenue are $2,400,000. And we expect to move forward with the city-owned property sales, and we expected a conservative estimate of $1.5 million. And that brings our total revenue for next fiscal year at $62,042,253.
Thank you. Quick question.
Yes.
When you say like reimbursements, are those like grants?
No. So these
Would
are
they be like Act 52 and
they're a mixture of reimbursements from insurance claims or from water department, library fund, TIFA fund, that it's like cost allocation for whatever general fund departments do work for other funds like the library and water fund, we get reimbursed for that. And if you want, in the GL for the revenues, they're actually broken down into smaller reimbursement. They're near the bottom of the revenue section. Let me see. I can let you know which page that's at. Page number 2 near the bottom. That is where most of the.
I'm gonna let you continue with the presentation. I'm sorry, I know.
Okay.
I interrupted.
No problem. I was just trying to answer your question.
And, Council Chair,
Yes.
the sale of the city-owned property, is that real and personal? Will that,
The city-owned property sales are the sales that the city owns, which we have, we are looking for a proposal on how to sell those properties. We're expected to complete that by next fiscal year.
but does that number include also like personal, that's a high number, 1.5 million. Does that include sale of personal property or is that just real property?
That's the property that the city owns that we expect to sell.
Thanks.
So I have a question about
Yes,
licenses and permits.
yes.
We over projected last year.
So the licenses and permits, they're actually, the expected revenue is a average of the past 3 to 4 years of the total license and permits revenue that we've received. I'm not sure exactly how much we overestimated last year. However, this is an estimate for the prior 3 to 4 years.
Okay, you said you'll have that estimate for us last year in comparisons, right?
Yeah, so if you look at the budget sheet on page,
I think we overestimated the rentals by 250,000 by itself.
Correct. I know these estimates are, it's not an accurate estimate.
Sorry, are you referring based on the budget to actual that you received recently? Is that why you're saying that it's
But I
overestimated?
think we estimated to bring in about 300,000 for inspections on rentals, and I think only brought in about 40 or 50, I believe.
So another thing to keep in mind with the revenues from the building department is that it takes some time to allocate those to the property department. Sometimes they hit the miscellaneous revenues first and then they get reallocated into the correct general ledger accounts. So if you want a more detailed number of how much we're gonna get in each one of those, we can also go through that.
Definitely, please. Even with the court too, I know the court's only 1.8, I think was estimated for this year, and that's going up.
Estimated 2.4, but last year, well, we don't see, according to Plant Moran. Yeah, we're like
The court
1.6,
themselves-
we should be ending by 1.8 by the end of the year.
the court themselves said that and that's what they estimate in terms of revenue. The court,
What if we're coming short again? So we did this year.
we are going with what the court's estimates are, and what Michelle Atkins and the court system are estimating for next year.
I just want you to know, Deputy Director Mahdi,
Yes,
we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver like we did this last year. Cause we overpromised.
yeah,
Our revenue right now shares, according to Plant Moran Gap, is only 44 million when we projected 59. So there's a huge discrepancy there. And if we're coming in right now and we weren't even able to bring, we're projected to see 54, 55. So that's where that $5 million shortage comes in and where we used our fund balance. How do you project us the revenue to come in at 62 when the reality is we couldn't do it this year?
I personally cannot attest to.
I know we
statement
can't,
that-
but just so I want us to be mindful of overpromising and underdelivering. We can't tell residents, we're gonna bring in $62 million in revenue and we're gonna spend this much because we anticipate. But then we haven't been able to do that in the last 2-3 years.
As much as I hate to say this, these are all estimates and sometimes the estimates don't always
I
come
agree.
to fruition. We've worked very hard in the comptroller's department as well with Plant Moran to try getting these as accurate as possible so that we don't have the issues of overestimating revenues and under delivering on those.
Quick question.
Yes.
Do we have any cushion room if we don't come in at 62? Say we come in at 55. What happens to us then?
Right now, we are expected to have a surplus of 233,000. That isn't that big of a cushion. However, I cannot attest to whether or not that cushion is big enough for.
We have a surplus of $200,000 in this budget
Yes,
because of estimated revenue.
yes.
But we have no showing data showing what we brought in this year.
At the same time, the expenses also are expected. They're not all guaranteed expenses. So
No, expense is an expense. A
Yeah.
revenue is estimated or an expense is, if I have to pay police and fire, that is not an estimated expense. We know we have to pay. Majority of our budget goes to personnel information according to Plant Moran.
which is correct.
Yeah.
However, there are
That's
areas.
not estimated.
There are areas where it's estimated expenses. It's not all 100%.
Yeah, you know what would be estimated? An example? How many times we're gonna actually somebody's gonna use toilet paper? That could be estimated. But that's a very small portion of our budget.
No, and I understand it's a very small portion. I'm just saying there's wiggle room on both ends. It's not all, oh, we have to increase the revenues because we're gonna go over on all expenses.
Look,
We can agree to disagree.
we can agree to disagree, but I won't be looked at and be assumed as I'm a fool that we're gonna bring in estimated $62 million in revenue. When we're both of us here looking at each other dead in the eye, know that $62 million is not an actual revenue base that the city has ever seen, let alone this year, knowing that last year we were not okay with a deficit, so we're just gonna inflate it and say, you know, hey, we'll just tell them we're gonna estimate this much money. But I mean, I'm gonna stick to that, cause I'm gonna look back at this meeting of April 9th and say, Mahdi, in 4 months and say, remember when you estimated and I told you that it wasn't accurate and we looked at each other face to face? I'm gonna hold that to us.
Okay, no
Thank you.
problem. Thank
These
you.
aren't his numbers, these are like from the court, that's the numbers.
No, the entire $62 million is coming out of the comptroller's department.
No.
Or I'm sorry, it's coming out of the administration. You guys are estimating $62 million in revenue here. I'm reading it, 36
Coming out of the
million.
administration.
Correct. Each line item for revenues is looked at and compared for the past 3-year revenues that we've received.
Can you
And
show
that
us
is,
those 3-year, can you show us those 3-year comparisons? Cause they seem like they're higher than they are last year. Cause when you look at property tax revenue, according to last year, it was nowhere near $36 million. You were at $28 million last year. So you're coming in at a higher price here. Are we estimated to bring that in? Or do we have factual evidence that we are going to be making an additional?
we can give you
$6
the
million.
3-year comparable, but that's where the numbers come from.
I just
It's an
want you to know
estimate of
that
the 3
just
years.
looking at property tax revenue, we're $8 million higher this year. And like, don't take me for a fool. I'm gonna tell you right now, $8 million higher in property tax is a very, very high estimate. It is an extremely high estimate, and that's not being transparent for our residents.
What I can do is get the actual revenues from the past 3 years and give you that information. Would you like to?
They're not $36 million. I promise you they're not.
I cannot guarantee the numbers off the top of my head. I'll have to do the research for that. Would you like me to provide that information to you, Council Chair?
What is it?
Would you like me to provide that information to you?
Yeah, you said you're gonna email it to us.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
So does this 36 million because of the 5% inflation rate?
No, there's no way you'd be going.
This year, we didn't get a 5%
3%.
increase. We got a 3%
Oh,
increase, so
three.
it was a little bit lower than what we actually had anticipated.
How much was that 3% overall city?
Again, I don't have those numbers in front of me for the 36 exactly because it's broken out into different revenue sources for the taxes. So you would have to combine all of those to do an accurate comparison to that 36. But if you look at the top area of your revenues, when you break those down, that's where those numbers are coming from. So if you want a comparable for that exact 36, we would have to do the combination again.
Okay.
Are there any other questions regarding the revenues?
One more.
Yes.
This is your formula, you said. Because you didn't do the ones in the past, but you said this was you came up with a formula on how to come up with these numbers, correct?
No. I came up with the pie chart and the chart to the right, which I calculated for the 2022 and 2023 budget. That's when I did the PowerPoint presentation.
Who did this one?
I did,
Who did last year's?
not me.
Okay, hold on, Councilman. These numbers, I'm just curious. I really want to emphasize on this.
Yes,
You're saying we have a $200,000 surplus. I'm so pleased. Based on your estimating, we're going to be at a surplus potential.
yes.
Okay, how did you come up with the formula of these numbers?
I didn't personally come up with the formula.
So-
The revenues are stated inside the general ledger of 101,000,402.
Yeah, that's the budget. This is the budget. You're showing me this whole budget and this breakdown right here, this presentation are all the same. This was created by the administration. The administration gave us a surplus of $200,000, correct? Based on estimated revenue.
I'll tell him how estimates are done. Okay, so just to explain the process of the budget preparing process here in the city of Dearborn Heights, we look at the projections that we estimate based on the last 3 years. So that's where the estimate comes for all of the numbers in here. Then you set up meetings with all of the directors and you take into account the different needs that each department has and you make changes there. So if a contract is extremely higher, like the Michigan Humane one, you will take that into account and you will make that change. So it will not be the same of the past 3 years. It would be much higher. And there's an explanation as to why. So that is where these numbers come from. All of those numbers were set before Mr. Beydoun got involved with the process of the budget. So the numbers were already set by the comptroller and the directors when we were meeting over the past month about this budget. He simply grabbed the numbers and made a presentation for it.
Okay, I want to just pause. You can keep the mic with Mariana, if that's okay. Chief of Staff, thank you for that.
Okay.
You told me right now, you went through expenses, not revenue.
Revenues too, everything,
Hang on.
every single line item.
Just hang on for that. I let you go for it.
Sorry, go ahead.
You went through expenses, the Humane Society is much higher, we calculate that number, boom, we put that there. We look at the last 3 years of estimates of expenses.
And revenue.
And revenue.
Mhm.
Okay, the last 3 years of estimated, I'm gonna say expenses for now, and then we're gonna get to revenue. But the last 3 years of expenses, we've had a deficit. And it would not reach, we never had a budget of almost $63 million, $62 million, okay? This year, based on estimates, we're saying we're gonna generate revenue means we're bringing in, we're bringing in revenue to put away expenses. So we're saying we have enough revenue coming in because this is how much money we have. $61,900,000 according to this budget is what we have in expenses if there's a $200,000 surplus. Okay, $61,900,000. $800, let's call it, right? 61,800 is what our expenses are this year. If we use the last 3 years in revenue, we have not surplused of any type of revenue greater than $55 million. How do we manage to come out with an estimate of 62 million? Even if we just listened to the numbers in the last 3 years of our budget, which are all under 62, which were deficits because we've used ARPA monies to fill those in. This year, we're coming in with revenue expenses that are greater than what we've lost the last 3 years. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, we can go through each line item in the revenue so that you can see the estimates that are there and the expected revenues that we're gonna get this year. And again, we can also get you the last 3 years, but it's not like there is an incredibly high influx in there. Again, it's just the average of what we've received in the past 3 years.
Anybody understand what I'm saying, or am I like delusional?
Council Chair, I think because it's been, I think it's around the 59 million revenue in the past couple of years. And now we have the city-owned properties for one.
Expenses were 59.
I think the revenue was 50, we're almost the same because we're still.
But we came in short in a deficit every year.
Yeah.
So your revenue
Council
was-
Chair.
I'm just telling you where all the overestimate is coming. It's
Council
coming
Chair.
from the property sales and it's coming 600,000 right there from the court. And I think the licenses and permits way overestimated as well.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure about the
Council
other
Chair.
revenues and, the reimbursements.
Yes. I'm gonna let
To
you
make this
Let's
meeting
go
go a
ahead.
little bit smoother,
I don't want to be the wool thrown over
I
anybody's
just-
eyes.
by this weekend, I'll get you the actual revenues from the past 3 years so that you can see what we actually collected. Then we can go from there.
I'm gonna look at the last 3 years' budgets.
I will give you that, I'll
I
provide the
have them,
information.
and I'm gonna show them to you.
I won't go by the budgets, we'll go by actual revenues. Because the budgets are,
Much nicer.
yes,
They're much nicer.
they're fluid.
I was actually gonna give you the way out, to be honest.
Our budget is fluid. It's never gonna be exact for both revenues and expenditures. There's supposed to be wiggle room in both areas. However, I can provide that revenue information for the past 3 years so that we can compare what revenues we are expecting this year to the actual revenues, received the years prior.
All right, let's continue here.
Okay.
Council Chair, remember, we had at one time 8% inflation, and property values are up a lot more than they've ever been.
You can't exceed 5% according to the state proposal 8. This proposal 8 doesn't allow
We've
you.
had a lot of new construction, for one.
And yet, but yet we still haven't met the requirements of the estimated of last year. But let's continue on here, Councilman.
Let's continue on.
So these are the general fund, departments, part one. We have zoning board of appeals at $3,000.
Can you speak into the mic a little bit? I'm sorry.
Yeah, real loud, Marty.
Yeah, it's mic isn't as loud. We have zoning board of appeals at $3,000, civil service commission at $25,000, Act 78 at $60,000, city council at $228,000, elections at $297,000, assessors at $401,000, corporation council. Sorry about that.
411,000? Wow.
411,000. Human resources, give me 1 second about that. I don't know exactly why that happened. Human resources is going to be $475,080.
Is that with the raise as well for human resources? I know you guys are
Give me
requesting a
1
raise.
second.
Can you also make sure that we're eliminating raises right now before you guys offer anybody a raise? Let us
So
make
you
sure
would
that
like
we
us to
figure it
remove
out.
all raises from the budget that aren't contractual?
Everything that's non-contractual, should be removed.
Okay, we'll make that change. We'll make that change after this meeting because the presentation itself includes a 2% raise for non-union employees. And then a couple of the directors such as the HR director is gonna be at 100,000, which I will remove, we'll reduce that down.
I figured you guys weren't gonna get it yesterday, you put it in this year's budget again.
Sorry about that, I couldn't hear that.
Nothing.
So I'm gonna offer a piece of information that should be shared at this point. Our HR director has left. So
We knew.
we're looking for somebody else. It happened this week. It's very sudden. We have requested a salary increase for HR multiple years in a row for a community of our size with the amount of employees that we have. 100,000 is comparable, which is what was in the backup for your meeting yesterday, which is also why it's in the budget here. It is absolutely up to you to approve or deny that, but I just want to explain the reason as to why that particular position right now.
How much was the previous director again?
$78,000, which is one of the lowest of all of the comparable communities around.
Plus the bonuses.
Maddie, I'm sorry, what was the number for the human resource department?
400.
75?
The entire human resource department is gonna be $475,082. And then we have the mayor's office at $486,000, clerk's office at $487,000, treasurer's office at $627,000, comptroller at $1 million, and district court at $2.164 million. Any questions regarding these
Which are we
departments?
paying the district court versus how much the state pays? I know they pay a lot of the salaries, correct?
I believe they only pay half of the elected officials, is that correct? Only
Yeah,
half the
well,
elected official salaries.
Yeah, they pay
We pay the clerks and the.
That should be like
I'd like to
90.
see like,
It's 90, I thought.
Controller's office, $1 million.
It's probably including the. Is that?
Yeah. So is there any other questions regarding these departments?
No.
If you have more like detailed
gonna go
questions,
through
they're
it,
gonna be
yeah. Just the overview.
individual, yes. So the police department expenditures are 17.6 million, fire department is 12.4 million, DPW highway department is 2.6, building maintenance 1.6, building and engineering 1.5 million, recreation 1.4 million, ordinance about 1.1 million, IT department is gonna be 900,000, general government 326,000, cable TV 136,000, public information 113,000, emergency management 102,000, Act 345 66,000, and then planning commission 8,000. Any questions, quick questions regarding these departments?
See, you have the last page, it shows last year, I mean, this year.
For
24-25.
So this is a comparison for the year over year. So last year, we had expected general fund revenues of $59,696,783. Expenditures at $59,689,409, which gave us a net surplus of $7,374. And then this year, we are estimating $42,253 for revenues, and then $61,808,907 for expenditures, with net surplus of $233,346.
So Mahdi, the first comparison for the 24-25, is that until like today's date, or this is?
This is what we're
estimated till-
expected by the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, what about
estimate.
the 1.7 million that we have deficit already that we haven't approved yet?
I cannot attest to what number we're gonna end up at. Like I said, it's a fluid budget. We don't know if the revenues are gonna exceed the revenue estimates or the expenses are gonna.
That's what I'm saying,
go
but
over.
some of the expenditures already been paid. I think almost what, 600,000 or 700,000. Are they included in the 59 million over here?
For,
Like there's, I think, how much was it? 6, 7, the one we didn't even approve, but they were paid out already.
Mahdi, I just want you to know, before coming to this meeting, we met with Plant Moran.
yes,
We had a couple of conversations with Plant Moran,
yes.
and the numbers they gave us are not $59 million, and they don't, like,
This was what was presented in last year's budget. This was the amendment budget. I'm not
this is
saying
what
that's what we're
presented,
gonna
but
hit,
this isn't what you actually received in revenue.
but we don't know, we can't confirm exactly what we're gonna receive until June 30th. You can only estimate.
He's comparing last year's budget to this year's budget.
Then why do we use so much money from fund balance? If we were expecting so much money in revenue? Can you explain that to me? Because that was not ever used in last year's budget. Fund balance was not supposed to be used. You were offered. Fund balance was not offered in the budget. You were given a balanced budget. We sat here, all the media, right? You were here.
Thank you.
Those-
The contract.
those-
So the back pay for the union contract negotiations hit the fund balance last year.
Hang on. We budgeted those contracts except for fires inside this, but we estimated that because this is what they received, this is what we are going to agree on for fires. So, Councilman, those were budgeted. Those numbers were budgeted. Let's use, those were budgeted. Marianne, you sat here and you said, yes, we're estimating that based on this contract, this is what we're going to estimate for the fire department, that because we've already we've ratified it with the police department. Michelle sat here, Mahdi sat here, and so did you. So like, it's not that. And look, guys, I'm not trying to pull your legs here, but what we don't want to do is offer to the residents a $62 million revenue. And so we're gonna have expenditures at 61,800,000 and say, well, we're estimating we're gonna get 62 million. But what happens when you don't get the 62 million? Where do you get the money from? Has anybody said that? Have you guys sat down amongst each other as the administration? And Mary, I don't wanna have like a back and forth with you. I don't. And I know like you wanna try to like convince me. The truth is, last year, 24-25, you've not been able to meet your what you guys estimated your revenue was gonna be.
So you're right, and you can see that in the budget. So that's all I was gonna add. So we do have last year's activity, not that expected. We actually have the activity for last year. So the revenues, as you can see, were estimated last year for 59. They actually came in at 53.
Yeah.
So you do have the numbers here.
And so
So
we
again,
were
like you
forced to
can
use
see.
we were forced to use fund balance, not because we didn't add the police and fire's contract in there. No, we did add it. And if anything, we estimated the fire departments. I won't be taken as a fool. All I'm saying is when we come to this budget, let's be realistic. Let's not come out here and say we're gonna estimate 62 million. Last year, we estimated 60 million and we got 53.
Again, Mo, we can go line item by line item, and whichever ones you want to decrease because you think that they're a higher estimate, we can do so. That's why we're here right
But
now.
that's your guys' job. This is the mayor's budget.
We only follow the averages by the 3 years.
You guys failed the last 3 years on those.
I'll get you that exact information.
You know why I'm asking that question?
Yeah.
Because I already know the answer to it. But I knew coming in here, and I knew when I reviewed this budget, I didn't review the budget. I went to the page, I looked at what you guys are estimating revenue, what you estimated expenditures, and I said, and I looked at it and I said, like, this happened last year, and we're doing it again this year. All we're saying is just be transparent with us. We know it's not gonna come in at 62 million. We knew last year wasn't gonna come in at 59. We had this, and it had nothing to do with police and fire, because we budgeted for them.
We didn't fully, but.
Okay, are there any more questions regarding the general fund overview?
Now,
Okay. So we are gonna continue to the department.
Wait, do you wanna do something?
Would you like us to go through revenue line items, one by
no,
one?
we're gonna go through what's on here for today. So however you guys wanna do your presentation, just do it.
If you would like us to go through revenue line items, line item by line item, please let us know so we can schedule it in the near future.
We'll schedule something.
Okay.
So yeah, I think 2 items that were missed in the budget is the revenues and account 200. So those were not scheduled for a time. So we can either do it right now or we can schedule it another
We
time.
can schedule it for another time.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're gonna start with the mayor's office.
What page are we going to?
That is gonna be page number.
So for the personnel pages is going to be page 3, and for the budget, it's going to be page 5.
We're starting on page 3 or we're starting on page 5?
3 on the personnel.
Personnel pages, page 3, page 5 of the budget.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the budget is at 5, right?
Yes.
Budget, page 5, personnel pages, page 3.
Who's our current executive secretary?
I would not name that individual, but she sits at the front of the mayor's office.
That's not Stephanie?
I would prefer if we don't name individuals' names
I'm
in a
not saying
public
anything bad
meeting.
about Stephanie that works for the.
It's okay. It's just you're not supposed to use people's names.
We're not, nobody's in trouble. We're just asking the executive. If somebody asks us who the chief of staff for Dearborn Heights, we're gonna say Mariana her name.
You can, I'm in the level that you're okay to do that, but
I
other
don't think-
employees
I mean,
that are not directors, you
I
should.
don't think, like,
I don't see anything.
yeah, it's not that serious. I swear, I promise you it's not serious. Nobody's gonna get sued.
I'm just following Open Meetings Act rules. It's up to you.
And that person's been that the person in that position's been with the city for some time.
Yes, about 10
So
years.
this is a civil service position, correct? A union position?
No, it's a civil service, non-union position.
I thought she used to do, I thought the mayor's office had part-time positions too. Where are those?
Correct. Part-timers are never in the personnel budget.
Can we have them in the personnel budget, Mahdi?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, can you add them to the personnel budget? Every department should have who their part-timers are in their department.
The reason why the part-timers are not included in the personnel budget is because the part-timers budget is not.
Is it in the regular budget?
It's in the regular budget.
I know, is it under the mayor's department?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why the personnel pages are for the salary line item and the salary elect line item. So Mariana is gonna be the representative for the mayor's department, so she's gonna be speaking regarding her expenditures for her department.
What page are we on?
Page 5.
Okay.
So yes, the mayor's salary elect position, again, that's set by the Compensation Commission for all elected officials. This year, they are due for a meeting to discuss what the next salaries are going to be for the upcoming 2 years. For the salaries, we have 2 full-time employees, the chief of staff and the executive secretary. That's what that 143,511 adds up to. We do have part-time salaries. The reason that there is typically not a part-time personnel page is because the part-time employees change throughout the year, so it's never like a fixed number per se. But we currently have 1 employee who's serving as a part-time employee in the mayor's department. And then hospital insurance, life insurance, general government, pension, that's all calculated by our benefits, as well as the fringe benefits, of course. And supplies, we are requesting $1,500, which is consistent with our activity for the past 3 years. In the mileage, we're requesting $500. And in community activities, we're requesting $1,500. And for travel and education, we are requesting $3,500, which is again the same as we had requested in the past 3 years.
Council Chair.
Yep.
Madam Chief of Staff, you said the commission for the salaries, they're gonna meet again. So is this gonna change or this is the estimated?
It's probably going to change. Again, we don't know what it's going to be. They're going to be the ones who set that in December,
Okay,
before
so
December.
in December.
Before December.
Before
So
December.
half of the year, it's going to be this amount. The next half, we don't know exactly how it's going to change.
Council Chair, it's around December 14. December 14. So basically we're underestimating for this one, then.
No,
For the salary.
because right now it's breaking down at 113. It's capped at 113 right
No,
now.
it's according to whatever they agreed before, like the increase, this year should be at this much, but in December, they're gonna meet again.
But
and
they could
probably-
potentially say, hey, we're not gonna give it a raise.
Oh, okay, I'm not sure.
They don't know.
We'll come back to the council when they set all the salaries for elected officials with the Compensation Commission.
I just wanna make sure there's enough money for any increases.
Is there any other questions for the mayor's department?
Just travel and education, the mayor requested 6,000, but got 3,500.
Yes, and that also includes myself and the executive secretary if we are to attend any type of training or conference or anything of the sort.
The taxpayer paid for the mayor's trips to Washington every week?
No.
Are there any other questions for the mayor's department?
I'm good.
So next up, we are gonna have pension, which is page 31 and 32 on the budget, and then page that doesn't have a personnel page because they are part-time employees. We're gonna have Lori present her budget.
31 and 32.
Of the budget, right?
Yes. And they don't have a personnel page.
No, we are both part-time.
Some of the hardest part-timers we know.
So we have no increase for our part-time salaries. For general, this is strictly my time. Not all, my time gets split between Act 345 and general. Mickey, who also works in the office, gets split between Act 345 and human resources. Okay. The commission fees are Lynn's fees that she gets paid for being our recording secretary. The fringe is just our taxes on our payroll. Supplies, I'm requesting $100 more this year because things have gone up. We need envelopes.
And Brogan doesn't have the best snacks in there.
We pay for those out of our own pocket. Dues and membership fees, I increased to $5.50 because they tend to go up $5 to $10 every year. Professional and contractual, we are gonna be over this year because we made 14.23% return on our investment, so I increased it only 7% for next year, hoping that we're not underestimating again. But it all depends on the market, which we can't control. So, and we all know it's very, very iffy right now. Travel and education, I increased this year. Last year I cut it because we have one local one this year. So they won't be staying at the hotel. Next year they're both out of town. So that's why I increased it to 3,500, but still less than 5,000 that it used to be.
You think you need more?
No, I think 3,500 should be enough. So,
Was there anything that you requested that wasn't to be able to give to you?
no. We're pretty simple in our office.
Where do you guys, where's your office at?
The Berwyn Center, we were moved out of City Hall into the Berwyn Center.
I don't know why.
I don't know, it's nice and quiet though. We have more room,
You do.
so
How often do you see Brogan?
I refuse to answer.
I'm just not saying. I know, I heard. I was eating them the other day. She's like, those are Brogan's favorites. I said, oh, really? No wonder where that belly's coming from. Thank you.
The fella's laughing, he's losing weight.
Yeah. He needed to, but he's doing good now. Well, you have to keep up with Max. Anything else?
No, we can go on to Act 345 if you'd like.
That's page 32.
Yep. Again, we have salaries, that's a combination of mine and Mickey's time.
Was that increase gonna be in there? That 2% increase gonna be for the part-timers, or was that just for like only full-timers that you guys did it for?
The pension board determines our salary. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, that wouldn't be a part of what the administration does. That would be determined by the pension board if we were to get an increase.
Nice, tell the pension board to step it up.
I'm not gonna comment. The only thing else we have is supplies. I'm requesting $1,500. We do need some filing cabinets. If you can't afford it, I'll just use boxes for the next year. But the reason is because we have a lot of confidential information and we're running out of room for personnel files.
You think $1,500 is gonna be enough?
I can move some of the non-confidential stuff into the ones that we buy and move the confidential stuff into our fireproof.
How big do you expecting them?
I just need another one that's 4 drawers. But I'd prefer a fireproof one. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it for that. If not, police and fire pension board may approve it through the pension.
Well, if you're looking for a good, secured, fireproof filing cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
We can't afford it.
we can't afford it at that price.
Okay.
It's because a good one, and I'm just
And I think they're around $1,500 to $2,000.
3,000. For the really, really good one, they're like $5,000. So I mean, we have a surplus of $200,000 according to Mehdi. I don't mind giving you one that you can afford to be able to use, especially if it's confidential information. Let's just,
Or we can move it to the fire department, we'll be safe there. Any fire.
but if you did it.
Or we can pay it directly out of the police and fire
We don't
pension
wanna touch
fund.
the piece of fund. But if we just did like a regular nice filing cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
like here you got a bestseller, that great 5 stars, sold, 700 bought in the past month. And they look pretty big, with 3 drawers.
We need
Look,
the 4-drawer one.
Here's a 4-drawer one with a lock, $155. It's not fireproof though. This.
So you'd have to decide who we save and who we don't.
You can find some really good ones
No,
here, like
yeah.
I'm even looking ones at like $500-600. I mean,
Yeah, I figure it's probably gonna be around 2,000. I mean, if you wanna increase it to 2,500, I'm okay with that. I think we can get one for $2,000, a fireproof locking cabinet.
why don't you find it, put it on the budget, put it on the agenda, find the right one, and if we have to amend it, we will amend it.
Okay,
But I want you to really find one, and not just find like one that's gonna break down, it's gonna bend if you hit it. 'Cause
well, we currently have 3. So,
this is very, very confidential personnel information.
mhm.
I kinda wish we could go digital, but I mean.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, where can we go scan everything and make it digital? Does it have to be physical, like paper?
Some of it does. So,
What's the reason?
I mean, I can put everything digital. If that's what you want. I
That's
just
why-
don't.
I know Cooper was just here, maybe he should help you with that,
Well, I know,
have the
I
whole city
I
digital.
know how to put everything digital. It's a matter of
I
time.
mean, to make it secure too, cause you don't wanna just
Mhm.
save it on a computer, to make it secure somewhere.
Well, everything we have is saved in the city's cloud, so.
Should be secure, so. And the problem is loading all the back data. We gotta start somewhere.
Right, and I still get all the forms and until you load them and, you have to understand that a lot of the retirees we still have not conformed to the digital age. It's slowly progressing, but
Look, I'm also looking here on Google, just quick
Mhm.
Google search, outside of Amazon. I'm seeing some good fire ones for like 1,500.
right.
Bring it before us, especially since, we don't know what this budget really holds for us. But I will go to bat for the pension board, so you just come forward and we'll find a way to come up with the money.
Okay. I'm gonna see if I can, in the meantime, can condense some of the stuff. Maybe I can box some stuff up and store it and,
We don't need to put any more things in boxes in the basement.
well, our stuff is not in the basement anymore. We dragged it all over to the Berwyn Center, so.
Okay.
Okay. You have any questions for me?
That's it.
I don't know if I can mention while I'm here, the actuaries would like to present to council. So if you could keep in mind to schedule
I would-
something in May.
You and I will get together.
Okay.
I know you said we were gonna do one for the regular patrol officers, because we weren't presented an actuary on that, correct?
All right, but I'm talking about for the overall system, for both. One,
Okay.
usually we do like an hour or two before the council meeting.
Get
We have
with
done
me
in
and
the
George
past.
in an email and we'll go,
Okay,
right, George? We'll
because I
plan
have
something an
to
hour-
schedule them kind of ahead of time because they have a lot of cities to do.
Yeah, we'll do something maybe in like,
Mid-May sometime.
Maybe in May.
That's for the actuarial, valuation.
hang on 1 second.
Okay.
Hi, Margaret. Hello? Somebody's supposed to be calling us for the 6 o'clock. Are we all set here?
I have a question.
Sure.
You go down, it says the net of revenue fund, it shows negative 7,845. But the recommended budget is 233. Can you explain that to me, please?
That has nothing to do with us.
That was the total general fund requested budget, but we cut expenses. And then next line item is what we're actually presenting. The line
Marvin,
item
you have a
that-
phone with me.
Sorry about that, I couldn't hear you.
Right.
Okay, we are gonna pause quickly. They're doing the Joey Smith bike thing. And I told them that we are going to honor this moment with them. I do have our fire department here with us, Mariana, our chief of staff, Eddie Baydun, our director, deputy director of controller. Katie, can you hear me? Hello? I was on the phone with, Katie, but I hung up. We told them that we would pause this meeting for this. Councilman Constant, you wanna?
Mirror it to the TV. You should have won on Zoom.
I wish you would have signed into Zoom.
Trying to. I can't drive another.
Can you talk, Katie? I'm speaking with you. Keeps calling me.
Got it. I got that Zoom.
You,
Oriole will serve as a reminder of the responsibility. Voters. We've been doing it so we can you'll be the votes very safely. You can work together. To join the vote. Was also saying never again. Thank you. Never again. Keep talking. Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
How you doing?
How's the meeting for you?
Thank you.
Even Roger's watching. All right, guys, we can begin. Thank you. Our heart goes out to the families of Joey Smith. They put up a ghost bike today, the corner of where he was tragically lost his life. So we will do a moment of silence on behalf of Joey and his family. You can ask Angela to just take this thing back.
So Mehdi, going back to whatever I was saying, I mean, if you look at the requested budget and the recommended budget, there's no change in numbers, but you see them at the bottom where it says net of revenues. How does that work?
Sorry about that. What's the question you were asking? What was the question?
I said, if you're looking, we're still up to page 32. You're
Yeah.
looking at the requested budget column and the recommended budget. So we got 60, 60, 45, 45, 15, 15, 66, 66. But then it changed from 67 to 61.
That is, so 2025 and 2026 requested budget is what the department heads came to us with.
Okay,
Because we don't have enough revenues to accommodate those types of expenditures, we cut out the,
no, I understand, but from the requested budgets, are the same numbers between requested and whatever you
sorry.
guys gave them.
I can offer a quick explanation to that. So it so happens that the pension expenses budget fund is the last one of our general fund. So what you're seeing in the total appropriations, that's the total expenditures that we have for the entire budget, not particularly for pension. Is that what you're looking at? Like right here, I'm highlighting it. So everything from here down, from total appropriations down, that's the totals for your total general fund budget. The pension one ends at the 66,090 at the top. So at the end of the general fund, this is the last page. It's giving you the totals for the entire fund.
I'm sorry, could you highlight that? Okay, so,
everything up from the 66,000 upwards,
okay,
that's what's pension. That's
Okay.
what the fund, Department 956 is.
okay.
Everything starting from total appropriations downwards,
Mhm.
that's the sum in our accounting system, BSNA. It sums all of the funds, which is every single department in the general fund, and it gives a total. And that's what these numbers are down here.
Okay.
So when you see the total appropriations, the revenues, you see the negative in there. That was for the fiscal year 23-24. And the activity there as well, the amended budget, the activity, the projected activity, but that's for the combination of all the funds. So this is where the number comes from with regards to whether we have a balanced budget or not. And that's where the 233,346 is shown, that we're in the surplus this year.
any more questions regarding, Department 956 or the total fund appropriations?
No, let's go to the next one.
Okay, we're gonna, move on to fire, which is page 21 in the budget and page 12 on the personnel pages.
Page,
And we're gonna have
21
Chief
of the budget.
Rogan, present his budget.
What'd you say, page what?
Page 21 on the budget and page 12 on the personnel pages.
Okay, good evening, council.
Good evening.
Can, have you guys got to the right page?
All right, we're on the budget right now. No, page 21
Yeah.
is.
Fire.
Emergency management.
Does the screen have, Mariana's page? Okay. Oh, okay. This is the old one.
Okay, yeah. Let's open up on, can we put it on the screen as well?
Yeah, we're moving.
Not, yeah, not on the personnel page, on the budget page on the screen.
Either way, we go to personnel pages. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what we have up here right now is our personnel pages. I don't know if you guys have any questions. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's been no real changes. The biggest thing is that we should be fully staffed for hopefully the entire year.
Got a question.
Sure.
What page is the police personnel page?
Police personnel? Yep.
My thoughts are, how does the police chief make $131,000? And our fire chief who's been with us for 30 years make $104,000.
It's okay.
I'm just asking, this isn't about like me wanting to give you a raise. Maybe I'm saying like we can't afford to give the police chief $131,000. But how is it that the police chief makes $131,000 and our fire chief who served Dearborn Heights for 30 damn years gets $104,000?
Either the deputy makes more.
I would like to see the fire chief at minimum making either what the police chief is making, or you bring down the police chief to what the fire chief is making. Actually, he should be lower than the fire chief because this man has served our city for 30 years. Man, this isn't like, this isn't favoritism to our friends. This is like city services. This is people that give back to this community.
Yes, so are you proposing that we?
No,
match?
I think you should propose it. Yeah, you're damn right. This council here would be okay with it.
Be honest with you, Council Chair.
With all due respect, the administration had proposed salary ranges for all
No.
that we did.
No.
2 years ago, we proposed, and
The
last year.
fire
we
chief
pro-
has never been offered
Yes,
$131,000.
he was included in the increases for all
He
the
was
salary
never offered
departments.
$131,000.
Council Chair, if I may. If you would like me to represent the comparables that we have done for all the director positions and the ranges in which they should be in,
You
I
asked
would
for
be
a
happy
5%
to.
increase last year, Mariana, and you guys got a 2.5.
Before that, we had ranges because the community is very underpaid, and making the assumption that one director needs to be paid the same as another one is not the correct path forward. You're supposed to look at the comparables for the specific position and tasks. If you want me to give you the CWW comparables for that, like we did for HR, I'd be happy to. If you want to reconsider the salary ranges for the directors in this budget season, we can propose that. It was denied last year, so this year we provided a conservative 2% salary increase. But if you want me to do that for this particular department, we will do so.
Council Chair.
Hang on. Hold on, hang on. We're not at 11. We're not doing police room.
I'm just saying, regardless.
We're on 12. We're not.
No, I know where we're at.
Yeah. The good news is, chief, I want you to know you're valued at even more than $130,000 in my opinion. And if the administration can so wholeheartedly find different contracts from 94,000, which the police chief used to make before we lost Mark Myers, to now paying them graciously $131,000, which Dearborn Heights has never, ever paid, let alone a director or a police chief, because somehow the administration found a way to do that for them. I want you to know you're worth more than $130,000 to me. And I'm sorry that they couldn't do that and reach that out for you. And I am gonna say that that's bullshit, that they should have done that. I know Mariana's gonna try to give her opinion on it. The truth is, I don't care what her opinion is, because they're looking at what this is here. They definitely should have at least matched you because you're worth more than that. And you know what, really, I know you can't say it, so I'm gonna say it for you to slap in the face. Thank you.
Honestly, all the directors are underpaid. The ones that are most underpaid in the community right now
So we
are the
said we're gonna
Workings
pay the police
Department
chief
and the
more.
Building and Engineering Department Director
So we just said, hey,
and the
we
Parks and
can't,
Recreation Director.
so
So again, if you
we're just
wanna,
gonna
if
pay
you
the
wanna
police chief
talk,
more. We're just gonna pay the
Chair,
police
if I
chief more?
may, I'm just giving my opinion.
I know.
If there are department
You're
heads
just
that
going to
require
keep paying the
salary,
police chief more?
council chair, if I may.
Mariana, are we just going to keep paying the police chief more? I mean, yes, the police chief more. Is that all we're gonna do?
We are going to pay what the council approves.
Council
I
never
was-
approved 131,000 or 128,000 or 116,000, which the original directors and police chiefs were bringing in. We never approved those.
It's up for approval, so we will pay whatever is approved. and
Well, no,
whatever
you
is
paid them last
budgeted.
year. You paid them 125,000 to the police department, which we never approved. We also didn't approve the bonus of $5,000 that you gave to the HR director.
So,
We also
council
never
chair,
gave the $5,000 bonuses to anybody else that you gave.
council chair, if I may.
So 128,000.
I'm gonna give a little piece of information. So yes, you need to look at the comparables of all of your department heads. We've mentioned this every single year. Everyone here is extremely underpaid, which is why you can see many department heads are leaving.
That's not true.
That is true.
That's not true.
I would like
to see
the comparison.
I'm just going to share my piece of information, if I may. So again, look at it in a comprehensive way. Look at all of the positions according to the task, not comparing it to another director in the community. Compare it to
Do you
the
know,
actual
do you know,
numbers.
do you know?
Can I finish, please? Also,
Do you know, I
also-
just wanna say one comment actually, please. Do you know that under the Paletko administration, directors are making $65,000 a year? And guess what they did? They stayed. They didn't just take a 65, they even took a pay cut and they stayed. So I don't want you to tell me that people are leaving because they're underpaid. I wanna say people are leaving because they're being mistreated. That's why people are leaving. The cultural change is why people are leaving. Don't put it on don't say because we're not paying. We're paying very good to our police and fire. And clearly we pay very good to our police and our police chiefs, and they're still leaving.
Yes.
okay.
Lost the chief.
So I'm gonna go back to what I was saying, which is just base numbers. Look at the numbers, look at the comparables, make a decision from that. With
Thank you.
regards to the salaries, again, the council sets the budget. The
No, they don't.
administration, which is going to be probably you, council chair, very soon, you get to accommodate that according to how it's necessary, depending on the activities of the year. So if you were understaffed for an entire year by one employee and you choose to provide a $5,000 bonus to an employee who has worked hard for that
That is illegal. I
entire
would not
year,
do that.
that is your
That
administrative
is
right.
illegal. I would not
That
do
is
that.
not, but that is your administrative right. And it's happening and it's going to continue to happen when you administer a city where you have turnover. It's simply a fact that administration has to face. So just take that into consideration as you make your allegations.
Chief,
Council
again,
Chair.
I'm sorry, man. I want you to know wholeheartedly, I want you to know in my heart, I am so sorry that for 30 years, I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Council Chair.
I'm good.
But I also want to clarify something with Mariana. Half of these positions that are on these, Salaries?
Yeah,
well, we never approved.
yeah, we never approved.
Council Chair, may I speak?
Yes, please.
Again, the council sets a budget. You don't administer the city. You don't set the positions. That is not the role
The
of
mayor
the
sets the budget.
council.
The mayor sets the budget.
No, the
This is-
council approves the budget.
Yes,
You're
you said
setting
that-
it
you said
right
that- you
now.
said the council sets the budget. I want to correct you.
We propose a budget, you set it. You change it and you set it at the end of the day, you vote on it.
So
The
you're
mayor
telling-
proposes a budget.
So you're telling me the administration could create any position?
Any administrator should be able to create positions
Should
as
be.
necessary because of the way that the
Violating
organization
contracts?
works. Of course, you have to follow certain contracts.
Clearly, the administration isn't.
That is up to the administration to negotiate with the
Let's not have the back and
unions.
forth. Let's not have the back and forth. Let the fire chief, I just want to acknowledge that the fire chief
What a waste of time.
is a great man. And if we're paying other chiefs a certain price, the first chief we should have paid was to our fire chief Brogan. And I think you agree, right? I wish you would have fought for him too, to then get that. But we'll see. I am talking chiefs right now. I am talking chiefs of two departments. If we are gonna praise the police chief, let us also praise our fire chief,
Correct.
especially since our fire chief has been here longer than Councilman Constant. Okay? All right? I mean, Chief Brogan, how Councilman Constant did rate the charter.
I don't know, maybe, I think I've been here longer than. Are you still in the drop or no?
No, no.
And he's not getting a raise.
Thank you too.
Who wouldn't want to retire? Thank you. Go ahead, chief. Let's go through it.
Okay, all right. So,
So we'll starting at my budget. Well, do you guys have any questions about the personnel page? I think it's pretty
I mean,
self-explanatory.
yeah, also, I mean, great. Our deputy chief makes more than our chief.
That's okay.
I mean,
All right, so,
Yeah, who's the deputy chief, by the way?
Is Vaskin still here?
Vasquez is the deputy chief, and he's retiring in December, actually, so
they can
he'll be
do
missed.
service. I mean, we're losing all of our great men and women in our police and our fire.
Yeah.
Institutional knowledge is what we're losing. That's gonna be hard to kind of get back, but I'm sure you're gonna, continue to help us, and we got Max, so we're in good hands.
That's right.
And Bill. Good. I like Max. Go ahead, chief.
All right, so, yeah, if there's no other questions for the personnel page, we can jump right to my, expense page. And the first set of numbers aren't very significant. I think the biggest number we're all interested in is the overtime. Yeah. And so as you can see, we've made a substantial drop. I'm budgeting 450,000.
Are you sure?
So I know that's the big question is, are you sure that you can actually hit that number? This is the best estimate that I can make, and I'm confident that we can certainly come very, very close. I would think that we could hit that number without a problem. This is the number that I gave to them, and our overtime was obviously quite high, and it still is high. We were down 6 positions, so every shift was short 2 firefighters the entire year. And for sometimes it was more than that when you account for injuries. So when you're down 7 firefighters, 2 to 3 per shift, that's you have overtime built into just the regular daily schedule.
And nobody can project injuries, right? We can't just say like, and then I'm glad that, right now we believe that we're gonna be fully staffed. Let's just say an injury does happen.
Right.
Are we estimating in this budget time for injuries as well or not?
Yeah, there's always going to be injuries and they'll be sick, but this number should cover it. So I know it's an aggressive number, but I do believe that we can hit that number.
I mean, the guy cut his overtime in half and we can't even match the police chief. That's great.
So
That's
we're
great. Always winning for the city.
We've got we have 2 people that we're short right now, and they're in the process, and I'm working closely to get them in. We have one fairly new hire that just started, so he's not manpower yet, and then we have 3 that are about ready to be manpower any day now. I know one of them I think his next duty day is manpower, and the other ones are going to be right after that. So we're finally starting to see the catch up of our personnel, so we're not going to be shorthanded every single day. So that's going to make a big difference. All right, moving on from there. Our clothing allowance has come down quite a bit. That's because the uniform allowance that used to be a bonus check has now been rolled into the base salary. Others are pretty self-explanatory.
Hospital insurance, we're seeing an increase.
Yeah, and those are numbers. That's a formula that the comptroller's office uses.
Okay. Holiday pays. Life insurance. Going up about.
Medical supplies we did bring down a little bit. We had to, we kind of had a surplus built up, and so we should be good to lower it this year. We may have to bump it back up next year, but 80,000 should do us. Dues and membership. So that one is making a fairly significant jump. And that is due to our Western Wayne Chiefs expenses are going up. So I'm actually the treasurer on that board, so this is partly my fault, but there's about 20, there's about 20 communities that this is impacting. It used to be $3,000 per community, and then 16 cents per capita is how you figured out your, the amount that you owed. And we had to up that to $3,500 for the community, the base pay, and 25 cents per capita. And so that translated into this bump. So you see now we're like at 22,000. And what that does is that pays for all of our it's our mutual aid group, but the mutual aid group, the biggest thing it provides us is the special operation teams. And, we were just talking about Deputy Chief Askin-Badlow. He's actually in charge of our USAR team. And I don't know if you guys saw in Wyandotte, the trench rescue that happened, maybe a month back.
He was on the news, that's where I remember. seeing
Yeah,
it.
he is actually in charge of that team for all of Western Wayne County. And,
So this is some kind of collaboration with all the fire departments?
yeah, so what we do is every department takes two members. Well, it depends on the size of your department. Our department has to provide two members to both the hazmat team and to the USAR team. And so, because having your own team to do these kinds of things would be cost prohibitive for all of the departments, so we all pitch in together and we have these teams. Well, when the teams were built, we had a lot of equipment that was purchased, and that equipment is all aging and we need to be replaced, and so we had to up our costs so we can keep current with the best equipment. And we saw that really pay off on the rescue that they did in that trench. Trench rescues are extremely dangerous. They're extremely rare. And most of the time you're doing a body recovery. You're not pulling a live body out. And this one that happened down in Wyandotte, it was just, they called our team, that's obviously not in part of Wayne County. And we have a fee scheduled in for that. But yeah, they went down there and it wasn't just news across the state. I mean, our area, it was news across the whole country. Other USAR teams were taking note of what we did. And what they just did yesterday, they had a drill where they had, they went to Wayne to a parking structure, and they had a car crash, simulated a car crash where the car was hanging off of the building. And then they put some, dummies in there that weighed 175 pounds. So they're big, full-size dummies. They rappelled down to them and then retrieved they got the victims out and then lowered them down to the ground. If you see like a car off a bridge or something like that, like you have to have teams that can come and do that. There's very few teams that can do that, and we are one of them. But so this fee, it's really not very much when you think of the capabilities that we have and the protections that we have in this region because of these kind of groups.
And if something happened in Dearborn Heights, they would come to us.
Oh yeah, obviously, yep. And we do a lot of this training on our own as well. We have quite a few people that are trained, and we got a lot of our own equipment because it takes probably 45 minutes to get the full team on site and working. Because they're coming from, a lot of different areas. So we carry a base equipment to really get us started. So we're not just standing there feeling helpless while we're watching these things happen. We can really get started on things to get the rescue operations underway. We work closely with Dearborn, and between the two of us, we have almost a full team. But we can certainly get a lot of the wheels in motion. So you are doing actual rescue and not a body recovery for many of these things. So that's why that went up anyways. So that went up to 22,000. It was 13,000. I also have some bad news. It's not on here. I talked to Shannon about it. I'm not sure if she shared that, but we have 185,000 in contractual services, and that's not enough. We need probably 220,000 in that line. We have, this account it's going to be short this year too, but we scraped a bunch of, other funds together, and we're going to transfer it over. So we're not going to be coming to you guys for the fund balance. We should be able to cover it. But just one of the biggest fees out of that is our EMS collection. We pay 6.5% on what we collect. We collect, it was 1.7, it should be going up. So that's 110,000. Our fleet is about 70,000, roughly. And so those numbers used to come out of other line items, and we moved them correctly into contractual services, and we didn't adjust it properly last year, and that was my fault.
And I'm noticing, okay, so you need to increase this by 250,000?
To 220,000 is the
no longer in a surplus.
So no, we only need to up at 35,000 from where we were, and I think our EMS revenue, I'm hoping to see that expand as well. Yes.
If you don't mind, I know you guys do a very, very good job, you and the men and women at the fire station, about bringing in grants.
Yeah.
Every year. Do you know what that number is that you brought in last year?
Not off the top of my head. I don't know if we had some gear grants. I know we made 2 purchases of about $60,000 each of gear. we have some of our basics that are getting trained to paramedic. We're gonna get some reimbursement for that. What are some other things we brought in? And I can tell you what we've written for this year is, we're writing for a new squad, which I wanna touch on our fleet at the end too, because we have a truck that's 29 years old and that's gonna need to be replaced, and we need to, they're putting the specs together now so we can go out to bid. And a truck costs probably $1 million, a fire truck, but we have to have it. We just put $40,000 in repair work in that truck, which is no line item I was working on. It takes 3 years to get a truck now. They're so far behind. So it takes 3 years to build it. It'll take 2 years to build a squad. We need 2 squads. So we're getting the specs put together for those.
Are we gonna be able to find any grant money with those?
That's what, so we do have some grants submitted to try to help pay for them. And then we have our gear grant that's $168,000 total. We haven't used it all yet, but hopefully we can get a grant. And if not, then we're gonna have to finance probably. Actually, we're making our last payment on our truck this year of $110,000. So that amount will be freed up. And so we should have a year or two before the trucks actually get here. So we're gonna have.
And then we can make the payments and find ways, I'm sure, like,
Yeah,
I was just telling the council members, some of them, that the state has a public safety, actually State Representative Alabas Farhat is putting together a public safety resolution where cities are gonna be able to benefit from new police squads and fire trucks. You know State Rep, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
Reach out to them.
Okay. I certainly will.
And see what we can do. I mean.
Yeah. Like I
From what
said,
I mean, the speaker chose him as his number 2 guy
okay.
from across the aisle, because one being a Democrat, the other one being a Republican. And so there's a lot of money that they're willing to give out right now.
Okay.
Even if we can secure, hold on to it, let's figure that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Council Chair, if I may add to Fire Chief, he approached me back in December. We've put together, the Fire Chief, myself, an ordinance that allows the fire department to recover the costs for when they show up in nursing homes, they show up at Vista Maria and different facilities that they have to spend resources. They can be allowed to recoup it, the police department as well. So that'll give an opportunity. Chief, you could talk a little bit about that. I know some of it is recovered by Medicaid, but other stuff is not recovered, at least 20% to 30%. It'll give you a chance to recover your costs that you're spending out and benefit the city. The ordinance is ready. It's on the next agenda. The chief and I and the police chief have all looked at it, and we'll have you a chance to look at it at your first reading.
Chief, how come it takes 3 years to build that truck? Do they build them in Michigan or somewhere else?
So they build them somewhere else, but all of the
Parts?
suppliers are well. It's just there was a lot of ARPA money that came through too, and so there's a lot of people didn't have money for a long time. Now they have money to purchase fire trucks, and just there's only so many builders in the country, and they're all backed up, and so everyone's running into this, and it's just been quite a challenge.
Everybody used ARPA money for vehicles except us, right?
Well, I'm not sure what. Yeah, I don't know.
Our city, they discriminated against our city.
So Chief, if we go to the motor fuel, says till the end of March, we only use 26,875. So are we expecting to use the rest of the 60,000 by?
So that's part of the money that I took to help pay for. We had a $40,000 repair on our. So we are well under on our motor fuel, but I don't know what's going to happen with the prices of gas. So there could be some money that we might be able to move from there, and that might help cover this $35,000 hit that we need for contractual services as well. Let's see, what else do we have? Like repair and maintenance, we're keeping at 125, but like I said, we've got 29-year-old fire truck, and they're very expensive to keep on the road. Our squads are aging, and so the vast majority of that goes to keeping our vehicles up and running.
So for the capital outlay, what does it mean combining account 981, 500 cap?
So we used to have capital outlay and capital outlay under $5,000, and so they just put them into one capital outlay account.
So what are you expecting to spend for 6,500?
So 6,500 is basically just to keep our, we're kind of just replacing tools and hand tools and some things along those lines. We just need to have some money in there. There are some vehicles too that we might be looking at, obviously not for that amount, but that's
So the amount that you requested, was that moved somewhere else, you're saying, the 721?
So, some of that is for the squads that I was talking about. And then the rest of it, you know, the money is tight, and so we're just holding off on some of those expenses. Some of the vehicles that need to be replaced, like Max, he doesn't need a vehicle, that guy over there. No,
So basically you asked for them, but we don't have it, that's not.
yeah, so we're
not
just
coming
gonna
out of
hold off
somewhere
for a
else.
year, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's a big difference.
What's up?
It's in the north end right now, the one that needs to be replaced. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything from the administration? Anything from our fire department?
You guys just came for support?
You brought some muscle behind them.
Just came for support?
Muscle.
He's like.
We all set, chief.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, chief. And chief, you best believe I'm gonna be making some negotiations by the end of this year for us, for you, because you and your family deserve that. Thank you. Thank you for your years of service
So next
and
up,
continued.
I can't max breathe there, man. What's wrong with you, all right? Making sure you're all right. Next is communications and newsletter.
So Max is the fire marshal, right? What about the gentleman then?
I knew it was Erickson, by the way. I just didn't know if it was Erickson because I know Paul Erickson. And I was like, man, I don't want to mess it up and be like, no, I'm saying the wrong name, but I knew it was Erickson. Got a good picture with you.
Okay.
Are you guys ready? What page are we going to next?
yep. Give me one moment.
Communications and newsletter.
Yep.
We're gonna budget something in here for the council. We got a $200,000 surplus.
We're under 200,000 right now. If you step.
Yeah, we no longer have a surplus. We're now in a deficit.
No, we're at 198.
Sorry, if I recall, there was a line item in the
Good night.
Take care.
city council budget for communications. If you want, we can take a look at that, and if you want to add it to this.
No, but it's
instead.
the newsletter, because I don't know why we have a newsletter without showcasing any of the council members. Which, you're right, the next administrator will be able to do that, but I think the council deserves to be recognized as well.
Yes, and if there's something that
You're
you
like
want
the
to add, you're more than welcome. As I had shared before, we're preparing the e-newsletter. So if you want to add anything, please reach out to
the
Mr.
newsletter?
Ancraft or to myself, and I'll make sure we add it in there, okay?
There should be a page on there for at least the city council members to be able to say, like, this is the 30th, like Dearborn does, this is the 34th city council members. I don't know for the, like the 21st or 22nd, to be honest.
So
But like,
that's typically highlighted in the newspaper. There's a page with all.
no,
the
just so
pictures
that you
of
need
the
your council members, here it is. If you
There's your
keep,
phone number.
But
Yes.
but if you want to add something else, please feel free to. We will.
the staff has something in it. No,
No, I definitely.
Well,
don't
you
have
need to.
anything.
you deserve it.
All right, so it's going to be page 30 for public information.
Page.
What page are we on, you said?
30.
I knew that.
There's no personnel page, right?
No, because it's
No, this
just
is
one
just
person.
newsletter. This is
What page are we going to?
page
Page
30.
30 on the budget.
Coffee.
Where are you supposed to be? It was on the phone. Why is it?
I want a page, bro, I didn't even do.
Yeah, by the way, it says, I don't want to, I don't want to go out.
Why not?
I wanted to, because I said.
All right, sorry.
Okay.
Every time Councilman, Ahmad sends out a text message to me, Councilman Saab and he says, Councilman Saab, where you at? He wants Councilman Saab to think about tea. And he always pays.
I'm gonna write them off on my taxes.
He's got 1099 at the end of the year.
At 99 of them for food.
Sign him a-
Ready?
Yeah.
So you have a part-time salary of $75,000 that covers two part-time employees,
Who are those two employees?
Mr. Ankrep and Mr. Siddiqian.
I thought Mr. Ankrak is the
Currently, he's acting as the emergency manager, but when we budgeted, this is where it was budgeted, and ideally, this is where he belongs. He doesn't belong under the emergency management position.
so we never use the money because we haven't.
I have to double check with payroll, like how many payrolls have come out of the emergency management and how many out of this one.
From the grapevine that I've heard after that meeting where you said Mr. Ankrak is actually the emergency manager,
The acting emergency manager.
came back that he's not.
So again, all the communications that I have seen with regards to the emergencies, including the floods, included him. So
I mean, he's the best. Yeah, he's the best.
So you can hear whatever you want from the grapevine. I can show you the emails where he's the one that's been coordinating most of the information. So
But he's not currently, he works as the part-time position. He was
his official position is to be the communications person, but because of his experience in emergency management, he has stepped into that role when necessary. For example, when our audit for emergency management was due and when there's emergencies such as the floods that we just experienced.
So
Anyway, so yes, two employees, one that does the newsletters and public publications, and one that does social media. Then we have the fringe benefits, which we can control. That comes from the controller's department. And we have supplies in the amount of $1,500, just, paper, printouts, etc. And then you have the newsletter expenditures in there. As you know, this was decreased last year because we moved to one print of the newsletter and e-newsletters that we paid we didn't really pay software. It's part of our Civic Plus platform. So the cost for that is minimal, and we're moving towards the e-newsletter this year. Then we have professional contractual services, which I think is just licenses in the amount of $250 that are necessary for that. And mileage for $500 to, get to different locations for the work. And then there is a $500 request for training. And
we're going from 114
to 113,488.
We're losing, about $1,000.
We're not losing, we're saving.
We're saving.
We're
yes.
saving. I know, I'm sorry, but they also proposed 122.
Correct. But the reason that the capital under 5,000 wasn't provided in this budget, it's because if they truly do need equipment, which would mean a camera or something of the sort, we would prefer that expense get charged to PEG, which is allowed. It's the only thing that we're allowed to use in PEG is for cameras and such.
So how come the newsletter expense, if they requested 37, we're only giving them 30, so how are we gonna do it?
We cut it to 1.
So he's always requesting for the 2 physical prints of the newsletter because our senior citizens truly enjoy them and they do miss it, and they've all been asking where it is. But again, because of budget restrictions, last year we had decided to move to the 1 print, and this year we're keeping the same recommendation. But if you want to change that and
So we
provide the
could do
request.
2 prints for 37, but 1 print for 30,000?
It's actually going to be a little bit under that. The activity so far has been 27,000.
Are we sending like a whole book is costing to mail to every home?
Correct. I think to print and mail the book, the cost is about $20,000, which is rather significant. Just on print is, I believe, $10,000 to email the entire community.
You know what I would love to do? I would love to eliminate the newsletter. I would love to send postcards, 5x8, 5x8. You can send 5, 10, 15, 20, 20. You can send 6 postcards a year with city updates at that expense of sending just one thing. And so I just want you to know.
No, we're aware of that, and again, I agree, if that's something that you would like to proceed with, we can do that. But there is a large population that truly enjoys the physical books, so that's why that
Imagine like
request
an
has always
update,
stayed
like,
there.
imagine like an update from the city. Saying, this is how your garbage needs to be placed. Expect higher water rates, higher water prices because it's now the summer and people are gonna be using a lot more water. We are seeing a significant amount of water rates because, or even just a letter, like what's it cost us to mail out a letter to the city?
Same thing, I think the postage is rather expensive.
No, guys, I sent out a letter right now under my campaign for the whole entire city was like
Like $5,000.
$48.50.
Exactly, like $5,000. So yeah, that's around the cost to send out one letter to the entire community.
So we're spending 30,000 for just, you get what I'm saying?
I do.
And I'm sure we can we can still print some of these things. We don't need to print out enough for the entire city. You could print out, say, 500 and put them at City Hall and, which will only cost you a couple of $100 if we just print out you could drop them off at the senior centers. You know?
So again,
So,
the printout already includes the extra ones in those locations, but they do also get shipped everywhere. We can consider making a change if that's what you would like to recommend. But again, the 30,000 it's still a conservative budget, whether you do postcards or you do the newsletter.
Just some food for
What
thought.
the Ad revenues, I'm sorry, how much we get in ads?
Rustman does a mailer. One back of it is what the city is saying. And on the back of it is a bunch of ads from like local businesses.
Taylor pays for their newsletter with the ads.
We've been getting about $5,000 through the ads for the newsletter.
Thank you.
Okay.
Administration.
Yeah, because it's like
Yes,
$100 an ad.
Is there any questions regarding the newsletters?
I'm just, extra food for thought. We're gonna send out a mailer on a newsletter that we know people are enjoying and reading. And if we added ads on there, 10 ads, $1,000 a piece,
Oof.
We could increase the ad sales,
that's
but
$10,000 that brings in more revenue.
I think that's actually pretty close to what they are right now. I think it's 250 for a quarter and 1,000 for a page. And again, that just adds up to about 1,000 in the revenues that we've been getting.
Well, there shouldn't be quarter pages. One page, $1,000 ads. You ask, you know,
But then you're facing the same problem with the weight.
Make it out of transparent paper.
no, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud for cost benefits and cost benefit analysis. But thank you. I mean, you know, the newsletter is still recommended. I just feel like there's certain, okay. We should be done on this page.
So next department's gonna be city council.
Hey, what page are we on?
That's gonna be page 3. Would you come?
Is it?
It would be page 3.
Thank you. We got a personnel page? Is that illegal?
Yes, it's page 1.
Wow, made us feel special. Big mark. Push the jump council.
So sure.
15,000.
I'm not getting a 15.
I'm retired.
I'm not gonna tell you where are you anymore.
I'm retired.
Call him,
I might call him. He's the one making the money, not me.
The $3,000 more you can keep.
I don't want.
And the stress from being in this position. Okay,
That's before tax.
you guys wanna go ahead? Or do you want us to speak on it?
It's up to you. Again, the city council salaries are set by the compensation commission. It will be reset again this December, so there will be a change starting in January. So you can expect that. And
We should add a line item for hostility.
Let what do you think about lowering the media to 10,000? Let's lower media to 10, eliminate 5,000 and give the city back so we can somewhat be in a surplus.
Okay,
We didn't even use the, what we had from last year, so.
You know
I
what?
even have
Yeah, we didn't even, I mean, what did we use? 2,500?
2,800.
I mean, those videos were nice.
I think 5,000 is good.
We can leave it at 5.
so drop it.
Leave it at 5 for now.
So drop it 10,000.
Correct. We're gonna give the administration this some way to, maybe I'd like to take that 10,000, add it back to our Parks and Recreation.
What if I chief? What if I?
Or the fire chief. There you go. Give it to the fire chief. I'm dead serious.
We're planning on doing something.
There you go. We just cut from our budget to give to the fire chief. No, for his salary. I mean, really, 104, he's been here for 30 years.
I
was in
100%
the
agree with
drop.
that.
He was in the drop for,
You can only be in the job for 7 years, Councilman.
right?
Would you like to make any other changes to,
Nope.
so everything else is good?
Mhm.
Okay, so next up, we are going to Corporation Council, which is page 4 on the personnel sheet and page 9 on the budget. Change pieces.
Oh.
Well, 518,000 proposed, huh? How much should we go over on this budget?
For,
Our Corporation Council.
I don't think we went over.
how much did we
What
go?
page is it on the personnel?
I think the budget is
4.
934.
What it says, yeah.
Page 4 on the personnel. So for the personnel, it's gonna be Corporation Council at a salary of $123,000 and then a paralegal at $81,600. The paralegal position is currently vacant.
We're spending about,
It's currently vacant?
Yes, it's currently vacant.
Sorry, it's filled by a part-time person right now, but it's not a full-time employee quite.
part-time is Hussein Saad, right?
No,
Mohammed Hudson.
Is Hussein Saad still with us? I haven't seen any bills from him recently.
Yeah, you paid a bill. He's no longer with us, but you did pay a bill. I think there's one left. That you
Yeah.
put on the agenda.
So he is still with us?
No, he's not. Rima Yafufi is taking over and she started working with us and you'll get her bill on the next agenda.
Nice. What happened to Hussein Saad? I'm just curious.
He decided to leave.
Oh, okay. On his own?
Yeah,
I'm just asking.
I'm just answering.
I know.
So the paralegal, it's part-time. What's usually the base for part-time?
what's the salary for the part-time? Sorry,
You
it,
go by hourly then.
it goes hourly, but there's no base for the part-time. I can tell you exactly what his hourly wage is.
I mean, what was the expenditures last year on that position?
One more. That was good, man.
Sorry, we're looking it up.
We'll continue on.
Yeah, we'll go back to that one. It's gonna take us a minute to get into that particular.
So we're paying our paralegal $80,000 a year?
No,
We're expecting to if we fully staff it.
Who do we have right now?
we have part-time Mohammed Hashim.
Good
He's
guy.
an attorney from Lebanon. He's come here. He's going to the law school.
How's he doing?
Doing excellent. Very good. Very sharp.
Yeah. I hear he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's very good.
Okay, you guys wanna go to you wanna have Roger sit up there or?
You want here or wherever you want?
Whatever you want, he can speak from there or.
No,
from
go
there.
ahead, go ahead, just go through it.
He can go ahead.
You can also go ahead.
Oh, okay, do you want me to go ahead
Yeah.
with it? All right, sorry, if there's questions, he will address them. Okay, so salaries, as we mentioned, 2 full-time employees,
Who's our corporation counsel right now?
Roger Farine. No one else has been brought up to to council, and nobody else is getting paid from the city, so I would say Roger Farina.
And pursuant to the charter, as I pointed out yesterday.
Okay. I had a question, that's all. Does he represent the entire city?
Yes,
Does he represent the city council?
yes,
He does?
yes.
I do.
Okay.
All right, then we have a budget request in transcript that we did not provide, for $200. We believe that can come out of, other areas. Then we have hospital insurance, life insurance, fringe benefits, which are set by the controller and HR. Then there is supplies. There's a request for $1,000 in there. However, most of the supplies have been shared with the police department where his office is located. So that's why the administration decided to remove that. There's a request for professional services for court programs for $75,000 to add additional programming, which I would request the Corporation Council to explain, but he requested $75,000 to bring new programs to the city, which we did not provide because of budgeting reasons.
So this is not included in this year's budget.
Correct. It is not included. It was simply requested.
Is that indigent criminal defense or something else?
No, I was trying to get our juvenile detention diversion program moving as we will have the study session on it. As requested by the four different superintendents that have asked for it. But we've not included it in the budget, but we have plans for private fundraising for it, which will cover
So contractual services.
Hold on, before you do that, if I may, can you do me a favor? I want a personnel page, please, of every single attorney we pay. Okay?
Contractual services vendor list.
I want,
Yeah,
Okay.
vendor list.
and, hang on, just hear me out. Cause I know we're budgeting for them. We're budgeting for Corporation Council, which is here coming down, his budget is 411,000. We're budgeting for our label attorney. We're budgeting for contractual service for other attorneys. We're budgeting for MMRNA, so that we have to have attorneys, that we have to set aside money for
And
MMRNA.
all the opinions they're getting.
And so I want to make sure that we know, we're not just spending $411,000, we're spending close to almost $1 million just in attorney fees in the city. More than $1 million plus. Okay?
how do you get to $1 million?
This has nothing to do with Roger.
I will say this.
It has nothing to do with Roger. This has to do, the city has to pay between filling up our MMRMA account, because we have to fill it up because we've depleted it this year. We have to pay for our labor attorneys because they charge us a lot more than we said. We've passed the resolution to only pay $175 or $200 an hour, but we pay them like $350, $400. We also pay, a bunch of these other attorneys that we have.
So from my perspective in the comptroller department, we follow whatever's stated in this budget. Any funds paid to labor attorneys through MMRMA, like any attorneys through MMRMA, that's housed in the mayor's department, I believe.
No, it's not. It's not.
So yes, I understand your concern. There are various different line items that have legal fees associated with them, including the water department, the HR department, the controller, Corporation Council department, and our insurance. So if you want a breakdown of all of
I want it on one
the
page.
vendors that we use.
One page, and I want to come to.
And the planning commission and the zoning.
Because we-
Planning Commission and the zoning. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
plenty of lawyers
Because we
all
keep
over the
saying we
country.
hired for the first time an in-house corporation counsel, and we're no longer doing such and such and such. All we did was gave somebody a job, gave them fringe benefits, and then we also continue to do what we said we were not.
No, that's not true, Cal.
Okay,
So-
are we not paying other attorneys?
But- What's that?
Are we not paying other attorneys?
We pay, what in-house counsel does for a corporation, sir, experience is we supervise and we oversee what, was happening before. We were paying more money out in like healthcare benefits, wages for our employees. We're able by in-house counsel to handle that and to reduce that in the negotiations. We're also able to handle a lot more outside. We were paying over 170,000 for the outside counsel we had before. We're down to 115, not even 120. 115,000 that you pay to in-house counsel. That saves you a ton of money. Has made you money, and I will add that for the next presentation. I did send it to Tom Wenzel a few months ago. But I'll do that for you, and I'll show you the cost savings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you negotiated our labor and our things like that?
Okay, so what happens is we have a
Why do we-
specialist labor that has,
I'm saying, let me.
oh, I thought you.
Yeah, I wanna ask,
Go ahead. Yeah,
So
go
you
ahead.
just said that you negotiate our fringe benefits and health insurance cuts and all these things. Now, why do we have a labor attorney?
Okay, that's, can I answer? Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, for instance, wages, longevity, overtime, holiday pay, retirement benefits, including healthcare, retiree healthcare. We had a tag-it letter that was out there that was gonna cost us money that the other lawyers were pushing, that the in-house counsel stopped and withdrew. The purpose of having a corporation, counsel in-house is to supervise. And not only supervise, you negotiate with your negotiators. You say the parameters and what you can or can't do in terms of those parameters I just gave you. Wages, longevity, different things that happen, both fire, police, and the 8 other unions that we have. We also handle cases that MMRMA doesn't.
You do?
And we pick, yeah, you were in court with me on Pelham. Okay, I have a whole thing that's been going on since 2004 that I've got to argue on Friday morning, right? I also handle the regular court cases on Monday through, actually we increased Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for our arraignments, which we never had before. We started the last 2 years, which I handle and make sure that that's taken care of so we can resolve cases before it goes to the trials or pre-trial. So I have no problem going through the whole
No,
thing.
I
And I know,
asked
and
you
one
this
thing,
question because I wanna know. I wanna educate myself.
I'm glad you're asking, because one thing I see is our position is to make money for the city, not to take money from the city.
Thank you.
So that's why we came up with a civic association to raise money, help us commissions. That's why I've come up with the ordinances. And like the fire chief and I have talked, we've drafted it, which will be on your next agenda. It's a way that how we can recoup money for our fire and police. And we've also put what's called a fog ordinance, which you talked about with the pipes and the backup with the grease. That allows us to now recoup and hold our businesses accountable for the fats, oils, and grease being dumped into the sewers. That's an ordinance we put together. That's what I guess in-house counsel does.
Thank you so much.
All right, anyway, back to the budget hearing, Bob, for council chair.
Yes.
If you may, for contractual services, you guys have it at 130. Can we cut that down to 90?
I mean, he only had 75 last year. He went up, so double, almost a little less
Well,
than.
we're gonna go down, we're making cuts this year, we're not in,
So down to 90,000.
down to 90.
We can do 75.
Or 75 sounds better.
So which one?
The
We go to
contractual
90.
services.
No, 75 sounds better. If he had 70 last year, 5,000 should be
He had 75 last year.
So we'll keep it at 70.
Keep it at 75?
Then the corporation counsel assistant, who's the assistant?
That's Rima, as it was explained earlier.
That's the part-time.
So that's actually a contractual item.
That's the one to take, Saad's job.
That's the one that took Saad's job, correct?
tell
That's
me-
not a part-time,
You're
that's a
telling me you
contractual
budgeted for
contract.
50,000. Can you tell me what we paid, the Sod's Law last year?
The activity in April was 57,765.
For the whole year?
The activity in April,
Till April, till.
Until April.
through April,
That's,
sorry. So we had budgeted last year for 75,000.
Can we do that at 40?
I don't think we can realistically do that with the time frame because we increased our hours, and the court increased the hours that we're working.
Well, we're not.
I mean, but it's up to you. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not.
we're gonna go down to 40.
Very good. You wanna give her 40,000 only?
I mean, we have so many lawyers going through that we don't have an idea who's who and doing what.
Oh, yeah,
So-
we do.
So that
I'm
40,000,
not talking to you.
just
but
to
I'm-
explain their responsibilities, they represent the city on the courts. So they're our prosecutors. They're there at the courts every morning
Can you
representing
give me
the
the
city.
budget for the
That's what
past
makes it
3
more
years for
time.
corporation counsel also? When you get a chance. I want the breakdown of all 3 past year budgets.
Why don't we go back 5 years?
Roger, I'm just talking to,
No,
who's in
no.
front of me? Stop interrupting me.
Roger, let the councilman finish. Council.
I'm not talking to council chair or you, it's my
Well, if
turn.
you
I
didn't
have the
finish, then
floor.
it's okay, then
I'm not
finish.
interrupting.
Well, then go ahead and finish.
Stop interrupting.
I'm well finished. I thought you finished.
He did not finish, and please go through
Okay,
the chair.
fine.
Please, let's go through the chair.
Guys,
Thank you.
a matter of fact, for the corporation counsel assistant, I wanna put it at 0.
Okay.
Let's remove that completely. We got a full-time salary employee, you can work all the overtime in the world.
So you wanna retaliate?
I'm not retaliating.
You wanna
I'm
retaliate?
asking for a 3-year budget.
You
keep
wanna,
interrupting.
you wanna retaliate?
I'm not retaliating.
You are retaliating.
Hold on.
You are
Point of
retaliating.
order, Roger, come on. Hey, guys, come on. No chaos today. It's a nice light meeting. There's no need for
I'm
chaos.
asking for 3 years of, budgets and he wants to
Council
interrupt
Chair,
me.
can I ask a
Hang
clarification?
on one second, please, just 1 second. Let's not
It's
cut
not about-
anything.
I'm
Okay,
cutting it down to 40,000
Okay.
and I want 3 years of the budget on what that assistant
Thank
was
you.
for the past 3 years.
Thank you.
Council Chair, I'm sorry, we forgot to ask this at the beginning of the meeting, but I think it would help us offer some clarification. All of the requests that you are requesting, do you want me to put all the changes from any council member or just from yourself?
Excuse me, I want you to write everything down.
Okay, from any council member.
Any council member, yes.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, they have a fiduciary duty just as much as I do.
Okay.
And that'll be,
Again,
and that'll be voted on.
It's your process, so we
Yep.
just want to make sure, and exactly at the end, you're gonna vote on
Yep.
each one, but I just want clarity on, should we be listening to everybody's opinion or just yourself?
And supplies you said are used by the police department?
$20,000 comes from, that's not.
No, there's not, it's not, it's requested. That's why I'm asking, man. You guys are jumping the gun. It says 0.
The one for 1,000 that they cut out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, that's notepads, paper, et cetera, that there's
So
supplies
they
in
need
the police
supplies or
department.
does that come from the police department?
Comes from the police department.
He's using the ones currently in the police department, but we assume that's about the amount that he's spending for his department.
And Council Chair, what it didn't cover was, it doesn't cover was the, printer that we had to replace, and we have ink, that's cartridges that are necessary.
We had 500 today.
I'm sorry, the 40,000, then it's gonna be 0?
No, it's for 40,000.
It's 40,000? Okay, sorry, I just wanted to make sure my
Supplies
numbers
going
are
up from
correct.
0, 500.
Yes. All right, and the last one is travel and education, which is $1,000 that was requested and provided in the recommended budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Next up, we got the comptrollers. The comptroller, baby. Here we go. What page?
Page 6 on the personnel sheet, and then page 13 on the budget.
Page what?
What page?
Page 6 on the personnel sheet, page 13 on the budget.
Thank you.
You can go to the personnel sheet. So we can explain it.
Here we go. Here's the big bucks.
So for the comptroller's department, the employee personnel is gonna be 1 comptroller, 1 deputy comptroller, 1 accountant, and 2 clerk 3s. We are removing 1 clerk 2, and that will be moving to the building and engineering department. So Shannon, the comptroller, and I have designed the department and assigned tasks to the various employees. And based on a fully staffed department, we do not believe that we need that 5th employee at this time.
Okay, let me,
6th employee at this time.
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you think when we lose Plant Moran Gap, you're gonna be okay with that? Cause we're gonna lose them.
So regarding Plant Moran Gap, and I knew that question would come
Brought
up.
up.
I have personally tried my best to make the processes as efficient as possible. I'm pretty sure all directors can vouch for that. I work 7 days a week. I come in on Saturday and Sunday. You can check the cameras if you really want to. Don't backtrack me.
I want you to know, like, just not just because you share the same last name as me, you're from Vintage Bend, Lebanon, but really, I am wholeheartedly in my heart
Yeah.
believe you are one of the hardest workers in City Hall today. Like you don't have to like pitch anything to
Yeah.
me. I know how hard you work,
Yeah.
you know?
So right now, because of the staffing of the department, we're a little bit like behind on work, and we're relying a little bit more on
But you're
time.
about to understaff, you're eliminating a position.
The position we're eliminating, we reassign those tasks, and because of the processes and procedures we're putting in place, that position is no longer needed and it would be a busy work position. So that position can be moved to a department that can utilize that employee better. Now,
Is it the employee or the position?
well, the position, because the employee retired in November. The employee that filled that position retired in November. The vacancy itself was not needed to be filled, given the task that the employee did. Shannon and I were able to redesign those tasks, to be much more efficient and not needing a full-time schedule to complete those tasks.
If I come to City Hall tomorrow, am I gonna be able to see Shannon here?
Shannon will be here until April 18th.
You got another job?
I do not know that information. You can speak to her
Rihanna's
regarding that.
saying yes, I'll take your word.
So,
So how come she wasn't here today? She's still staying today.
she feels that because she is departing, and I'm staying for the long term, I will not be leaving the city, at any point in time, and unless I get fired, of course. This is my opportunity. I mean, everybody's expendable. I'm not saying that I'm protected or anything. She felt like this was my opportunity to step up and take over the
You know,
department.
you stepped up the last 2 years, by the way.
Yeah,
No,
not
I-
just
Last 2 years, you
today,
sat here.
right.
I refused to be appointed as the comptroller. I did not want to take an appointed position.
You'd be losing a civil service position and then you could potentially be fired, so he'd say, I'd stay at the deputy director position, but
Look, no
He doesn't
matter
wanna
which
work
mayor
with
gets in
anybody.
office, I personally believe that I would rather work my hardest for the city under the radar than be the face of the department. Because being the face of the department itself takes a lot of toll.
we can't campaign here, let's continue on.
I'm not trying to campaign. I'm just trying to vouch for my department itself and how I believe that we can operate properly. I do believe,
So do you believe that Plan Moran Gap has to stay?
I actually have a plan on how we can, minimum reduce them by half.
You do have a plan or you don't?
I do have a plan, but it
What's the plan?
requires, efforts from every department as well as inefficiencies in both the comptroller's office as well as the treasury department. Now, if you want to have a study session between myself and the 7 council members as to what I believe is the right path forward, I can do that for you.
We'll talk.
This is for like over how much time? Like you can drop it by.
Honestly, if the processes and procedures that I personally want to implement, this regards banking, bank reconciliation, general ledger.
It has to do anything with polling, you guys did a terrible job with that.
Huh?
Yeah, remember when we started closing a bunch of bank accounts and we ended up closing the forfeiture account, 'cause we had to pull the money and then we had to reopen it and then we had to do this.
So, regarding that,
Be a separate,
It was state law. Has to be restricted, that and the PEG funding.
Again, it has to be restricted. It does not have to be a separate bank account, and this was recommended by Plant Moran and the professionals. But just because there is a preference to have things done one way, it doesn't mean it's the law.
Councilman Constant knows this stuff, I'm gonna follow his direction.
I'll show you. Show you that.
I don't see that.
I think last time they requested like,
Council Chair, so the law states, and this is.
Let's go through the budget, then we can talk about the law.
Okay. So, based on the personnel, that's the salaries. We have the employee that retired in November will be, have his first installment of his retirement, payout plus interest, which is $13,737. Overtime just budgeted at $500. Hospital insurance, life insurance, and general government pension. And fringe benefits are all calculated based on salaries as well as health insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. For supplies, we are requesting $1,500. For dues and memberships, we are requesting $1,500. For professional contractual services, it's gonna be $425,000. And then for training, it's $12,500.
So the professional and contractual services, 425,000.
Yes.
That's for Plant Moran Gap.
It's Plant Moran Gap as well as, the auditing firm. We previously was L&C Young, so I think that's $50,000 to $60,000. I do not know of any major contractual services that we use other than that.
And we reduce this by 75,000?
Actually, no, we don't use actual reports only.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes,
I see our budget is down $116,000 on the controllers department.
yes.
How?
So the employee,
Retired.
previously,
Yeah, so are we not paying that $116,000 employee? I mean, we're paying them $116,000?
so part of it is the employee,
And Plant Moran was also covered.
and then Plant Moran was also part of it?
Yeah, contractual
Oh,
services.
by
75.
$125,000.
75,000.
Are we cut another 75,000 on contractual services?
Sorry,
I mean,
I can't hear.
We gotta save money.
Can they cut it again?
Another 75,000.
Honestly, at this point, I would be hesitant to do that just because of the turnover that we're having in the department. We will continue to strive to not spend the full amount. But
I'd be more
if
comfortable-
that's your request, we
Yes, my
can,
request is another 75,000 instead of using fund balance and being in a deficit. It's unfortunate, but the city's gotta make sacrifices.
So drop it down to 300,000, right?
minus 70.
Minus 75,000?
Yeah, so
Oh,
350.
So that's gonna drop Plan Moran even more.
Yeah, unfortunately, the city's gotta make some sacrifices, to be out of a deficit.
Okay.
And that's why you're here to make tough decisions.
So is there any other questions for my department?
A statement was made that, so the check was not written to the Tifa or the recapture, that was the problem of the, by Rachel Lapointe, that was a problem with the comptroller's office and not the treasurer's office. And that didn't make sense to me. I've seen Colleen there or other people, writing the checks. So that's my question.
Sorry, perhaps Maddie can expand on this. He wasn't here at the meeting. So you're talking to about tax allocation. So when taxes come in, there are different categories for each levy that have to be split and given to the correct departments, the schools, etc. Last fiscal year, the TIFA allocation was not given to them. The question is, was it the responsibility of the comptroller's department to initiate that or the treasurer's department to initiate that?
So the treasurer's department initiate the allocation and then they send a memo to the comptroller's office to enter it into our software BSNA in the general ledger. So if it was missed, most likely it would be from the treasury department, and because they send the memos regarding what taxes were received and how they were allocated to the different,
I've
sources.
seen Colleen, the deputy treasurer, mailing out the checks, like, for example, to. All right, well, that answers the question. Thank you.
I have one more question from Mariana and Maddie for the mayor's office. Is there such a position as a director of the mayor's office, in the mayor's office, or a new position? No?
No, we already went through the three positions in that.
I'm saying no new positions that are secretly being created soon or after?
No.
Okay. That's it. We're gonna go out to. What do we still got today?
Nothing. That is it.
No, because we switched on in the beginning.
Oh, we have, about the fund balance. I don't know, but I mean, we don't even.
The budget amendments,
We can do it to the
Correct.
next meeting if that's okay.
What's this?
So with regards to that, to better prepare council chair, do you want us to prepare anything? Because those were overtime budgets that are coming from fund balance. So in all honesty, we've presented it 3 times already. I don't know what else you would like me
I
to
don't know what else
prepare.
to do either. I mean, ultimately you guys can keep adding it back to the agenda. I mean, I don't know. I don't make the final decision on this. I mean, obviously it has to be approved. I read the letters. I read the letters from the state and why the state is requesting for the balanced budget, and I saw what the comptroller put before us. Some of it was that blaming the council for not approving the final fiscal year, which is not true because she wasn't here. And if she was, it was approved on June 30th. And then what was said to I'll read it.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. And I don't think you are either. But again, if there's anything you need us to prepare for that, we can do so.
I mean-
Before we end, I also wanted to just do a recap of all of the requests from today. If I
You
may.
mean mute iPhone? It was a violation from the statute per accounting procedures. The city is in the process of analyzing our current procedures and policies. The city council did not approve the budget amendments prior to the end of the fiscal year, resulting in several departments being over the budget. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, that's from the audit?
And she wrote this on February 7th of 2025.
That's from the audit findings?
Yes.
Yes.
And the truth is, we didn't approve it because we don't get the money. You guys can't tell us where to get the money from.
That's correct, but it will continue to be a finding if the budget amendments aren't done. It's just how it works.
Make tough decisions. Like here we're asking, we can't afford to pay our employees, but we're asking for raises. A little alarming. I wanna give everybody a raise. I would love to.
Unfortunately,
Rightfully so, everybody deserves that, but how do we justify giving everybody a raise, but we can't? We can't pay our current budget. That's why I was so very adamant about this budget, guys. It's not, I promise you, it's not, nothing towards Mehdi or Mariana or Mayor Bill Bazzi. It's nothing towards you guys. It's just like, how did we get here? How did we get to say that we have revenue gonna come in at 62 million when we couldn't get this year to come in at 59 and we're expected to come in at 53? Like, we're not setting real expectations. I'm not blaming anybody. We have to put our heads together between the administration and the council. Figure out, we need to make more money. The bickering back and forth is not gonna do it. So do we say to, priority waste, hey, guys, $250,000 a week is something we can't afford. Can you guys come in at 200? Can you guys come in at $230,000 a week? Say we can cut some fat from them to help us out so that we can find more revenue. I don't know.
Sanitation is a separate levy, but yes, we have to get creative, absolutely.
We just, I'm just throwing, guys, I swear I just made it up on my feet.
It's,
I don't know,
Fire and picking up the trash, those are big expenses.
like,
yeah, again, the biggest problem this year was overtime. And again, if we are fully staffed, hopefully that would start lowering moving forward. So I'm gonna go through the items that you requested for the budget this session of budget hearings. So we have a potential $1,000 increase for the pension office pending on the invoice from
well, we said we're not gonna go up 1,000 on it if she brings something forward. So
Alright, so
we're not
I'll
even
do
gonna
that one,
do that.
and it's pending, but I'll remove it completely for now. Then we have the additional $30,000 for the fire chief to bring him up to the police department salary. We,
Or,
Much?
oh, we're gonna take note.
or we can bring the police chief to where the fire chief.
Yeah.
is.
so we haven't gotten to that budget, so I'm not
so let's leave
taking
it
that
for now.
into account
Let's
for
leave it for
now.
now, cause there's gonna be cuts. I plan, the city's gonna make some sacrifices.
I mean, that's not, that's,
And we're not jumping to anybody. The city needs to make cuts, bottom line. Every department needs to cut. The city cannot enter a deficit every single year, cause it's only gonna get worse. You can't recover from
100%.
deficits.
We're not
And in order for you to be here, these budgets, to make tough decisions, that's why you're here, to make these such tough decisions. And unfortunately, some decisions people are not gonna agree, but they're necessary to move the city forward in the future.
Yeah.
Because staying in the hole, you're never gonna get out of the hole. Sometimes you gotta restructure. The unions, employees, everybody's gonna make sacrifices for the city to move forward, or else the city's gonna go bankrupt. It's plain and simple. And that's the truth.
or you
Anybody-
find find more revenue.
And if, true, but, and if anybody's thinking out there, we're cutting services here and services there, believe me, by taking $100,000 here and off, it's gonna help, but I'd rather eliminate everything off. But the city this year has to make sacrifices, and that's the bottom line, and that's the truth. And if anybody here says otherwise, you're lying.
Absolutely. We had to cut $7 million and it's a tough thing
We
to
need to
do,
cut
but
10 million to be out of a deficit, not 7. We have to cut, we gotta cut 1.5 times our deficit in order for us to be equal,
all right.
to make things.
So continuing with the request, we have the $35,000 increase in contractual services for the fire department. We have $10,000 decrease from the council's media services. And we have a decrease in $75,000 for contractual services for the corporation council, as well as,
All we did was match last year's
75.
And we added $500 in supplies for
The
the.
decrease for the 40,000 for the
10,000.
$10,000 decrease for the contractual services,
$500 for
Prosecutor.
supplies.
$500 for what?
Supplies.
But they didn't even give them anything. for
Because they use the police departments, but the police department supply budget is probably out the roof too.
I just wanna go back to Corporation Council.
Yeah.
When we say we're taking contractual services down 75,000, all we're doing is matching what he had last year. Last year, we budgeted $75,000 for the legal counsel, Corporation Council. We're saying, we don't wanna take you back up to the 140, we're gonna keep you at the 75,000.
correct. Sorry, that's just for our purposes so that we
Yeah.
know what.
I just wanna, before anybody says it's retaliation, it's not.
Oh, what again?
And then comptroller's office, we took
75.
$75,000
$75,000.
contractual services. Also.
Correct.
And that's
Wait,
gonna
the
be
Court
across
Council
the
does not
board.
have,
Yes, they do. It's an under.
What are you looking for?
75,000 you guys talking about.
You wrote it right here, buddy.
No, this is, we took it down to 40, from 50 to 40.
No,
we-
no, no,
Controller's office.
what are you looking at, right? Corporation Council, or just lowering the 75,000 to match the 75,000 that they made last year?
Oh,
Page 9.
Okay, yeah, I see now.
Okay.
sorry, I also have the note of the decrease in all salary increases,
Leaving the assistant at 50?
but, just wanted clarification with that. Is it okay if we don't amend the budget yet with the 2%? We just do it at the end when we do all of the amendments?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, let's just leave it at the end. She said, we'll do, that'll be the last final thing like we did last year.
Yeah, but I want a total how much that 2% is.
Yeah, we will. We'll be able to know how much.
It's not much. It's, I think, like $40,000, but
$1.
it adds up. Yes, it adds up.
Everything
Absolutely.
adds up.
Yep.
$40,000.
But I can get that number for you by next meeting as well, like what the total decrease is going to be.
What's the chief of staff position make right now?
78.
78,000, I believe, from last year's salary.
And again, I'm just asking for myself and on the
That,
record.
that's
Were there
another
any
position
bonuses
that's
given to you in the
low.
last year or two?
No. But that's also low in comparison to other
I
communities.
agree, it's extremely low.
Again, there's every department you look at, same situation.
You know what it was before you came? 55, 43.
Yeah, I remember.
That's
That person didn't have degrees.
Correct.
okay. We are all set here.
Oh, yeah,
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you,
Thank you.
Chief of Staff Mariana Hernandez. And thank you to we're gonna go to the public now. Any comments on the public? Anybody on Zoom? None? Thank you. Councilman, Constant. Thank you very much, sir.